Hello everyone, how's it going today? Today I'm going to be doing the transmission and differential fluid. I did this just under 30,000 miles, and that was about 4 years ago. Now I'm close to 60,000 miles, so I wanted to do it again. Notice that the shifter feels a little stiff sometimes, so wondering if doing this will clear it up. And I'm not saying that anything's wrong with the shifter, just I feel like it could be a little bit smoother. So pretty much what you need is a little pump, or you can do kind of looks like a beer bong, just a funnel with a hose on it towards your transmission. You'll need a T70 as well as this gasket. Let me show you the number here. It's kind of blanked out, but it's ending in 803926090. So that's the gasket that you'll need for the front transmission bolt. And apart from that, just transmission oil itself. I know some people run Motul or other brands, but just wanted to stick with the OEM here. So I have the car lifted up, and it's kind of hard to point out in here. I'm not sure if I can get to it or not. I'll show you underneath, but you kind of look down this section, you'll see a gray dipstick, and that's the dipstick for your transmission oil. Like I said, I'll show you once I get underneath and we'll start working on it. So if you can see up here, just right in between the actual hose that you see, you'll see the gray little circle. That's your dipstick there. So I'm going to pull that out first, and then right underneath here is where you have your T70 bit, where you'll start draining your oil. You can see it draining now. It looks still pretty fresh, maybe a little milky, but I'll take it out and make sure that we don't see any shavings in there afterwards. Did have to use an air gun. I guess I'd put it on a little tight before. So have the drain plug out now and just kind of see how much is on it. Really not a whole lot. I mean, pretty expected. And right here, this is where you remove the washer and put the new one on. So pretty much just letting it fully drain. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit, reinstall it, and then start putting in my oil. Now you're gonna use 3.5 quarts for the front, and when we get to the back, I'll kind of show you the best method for it. It's about 1.8. Now that all I'm doing is just barely getting some drips out. One thing I did do was raise the rear of the car up. That way the front was angled towards the ground to make sure that all the oil was drained. So now I have my new washer on here. Simply slide it back in. Gonna put a glove on just so I don't get oil on my hand, and just tighten it up. Now you're supposed to tighten it up to around 50 something pounds, but really just gonna put it at about 80. Just don't want any issue with it getting loose or coming off. And since the dealer originally had tightened it up pretty good, I don't want the threads to basically like be loose from it being tightened up before. So it's really your call on how you want to do it. I'm just telling you how I am. So I have my pump all set up now, and my fill hole is right, kind of hard to see because I'm blocking the light, but if you look straight up, it's gonna be right up here. So pretty much, they said the pump method, it works, but it kind of stinks because you wear out your forearm pumping 3.5 quarts into it. But I'm just kind of lazy about actually buying the funnel thing, so stuck doing it this way. So we got one bottle down. It's kind of a messy job, as you can see. I got some on the ground because wasn't paying attention to the hose and it slipped out, so spread some on the ground. But like I said, the pump method, it just wears out your forearm, so if you're ready, you're gonna get a workout. But it only really took maybe about 2-3 minutes just to pump that whole bottle into there. So got 2.5 more to go. So all finished up under here. Make sure to check no leaks coming out. Have the dipstick put back in its spot, 3.5 quarts, And just to correct myself, the rear is 0.8 quarts, not 1.8 quarts. So in total, you'll only need 5 bottles for this job. So when you're looking at the rear, you'll see 2 bolts here. You want to do the top one first, reason because you want to make sure you can get the top one loose before taking the bottom one out to drain, because if you drain the bottom, there's no way to fill it up without filling in through the top screw. So what I'm going to work on now is taking out the top screw, and then you take out the bottom to drain it. Now the way you can do this is just take a 1/2 inch wrench and basically fit it in there, take it off. So again, whenever you're working on the rear diff, you want to take the top one off first before you do the bottom. And I'm not sure if you can see, the top one is a little mangled. Now the reason for this is because I cannot get it off. I've literally spent a week PV blasting every day and trying maybe 3 other times apart from the original just to get this bolt loose. What I did was actually I marked it with Sharpie, that way whenever I hit it with the impact I could see that it was slowly moving it, but barely probably took, I'd say about 50 like impact rounds on it, letting the air tank fill, just to be able to get this one loose. I have no idea why. It's crazy because they're not torqued very hard at all, but finally have this one out, and I'm going to start working on the bottom one. I assume the bottom one's going to give me a little bit of issues as well, but I have a breaker bar that I bought that I'll be able to use on that, as well as maybe try a little bit of the impact to get that one loose. But like I said before, you always want to make sure that you start with the top before you start here with the bottom. So this isn't the way that I wanted to do it, but the way that I am doing it, just to prevent cracking, trying to take out this bottom bolt. Basically what I have is a vacuum bleeder. I've used this for the brakes in the past. It does a decent job, but what I'm doing now is actually just putting the hose right up in the top hole and just siphoning it out. So I'm not 100% sure how well it works compared to actually taking that bolt off, but I know I'm going to be going to get out quite a bit. Now I have everything drained out of the top to probably about 8 or 9 of those cups that I showed you, so there's quite a bit, even though it's only supposed to be 0.8. So now basically just have this with my pump, and all you do is just pump it in simply like this until it starts leaking out. So I know I'm probably going to go through this can. I won't show you just going through the whole thing here, but go through this one, start on the next one, fill it up, then I'll show you putting the bolt back in. Alright, so I finished the first bottle off. Now I'm starting on the second one here, which should be about 0.3 quarts. Basically I'm just going to go through, speed the process up here until it actually starts coming out. Alright, now you can see it's leaking out, which means that it's full. Go ahead and clean the plug up a little bit, and then reinsert it. Alright, so basically just pull it out. Set the plug up, get it started here. There we go. Now I'm going to clean this up, basically just torque it down. I'm all set. So finally have everything finished up. Took quite a while. Originally I planned for this job to only take about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but it's taken me probably about 5. So really sucks that I ran into an issue with those rear bolts, because I know they're only torqued to less than 50 pounds, but it looked like there's a lot of corrosion, and I have taken this car up to New Mexico where they have the road salted about 4 or 5 times since I did that last rear diff change. So I believe it's just corrosion from that. The front was pretty tough as well, although it did come off not too bad with the impact. So really hope this video helps, and if you run into an issue like I did, feel free to reach out on Instagram at WRX_snowboarder. But as always, happy driving and enjoy.